Everyone, and welcome to the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeal for tonight's meeting, Wednesday, June 27, 2018. It is a little late, 6:38 p.m., and we are at the Multi-Service Center, room 320, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. I'm just gonna make a roll call and call the meeting to order. My far right, Wilma Engerman, Town Planner Ken Buckland, our clerk Jim Akabachi. My left is Attorney Jen Kendrick, myself, Chairman Nazi El-Kulasi. Also we have present independent consultant Attorney Paul Haverty, and also independent consultant professional engineer Charles Rowley, and our building commissioner Dave Pequina. Just gonna do some preliminary business here. We have the minutes for May 9 and May 23rd.
I reviewed both sets of minutes and find them acceptable as presented, therefore make a motion to accept as presented.
Do I have a second to accept the minutes?
Second.
Second by Jen. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, oppose, abstain. Let's sign them. Petition 19-16 Walmart, 2919 and 2427 Cranberry Highway storage container. Just name and address for the record.
Yep, good evening. My name is Paul Jandro. I'm the store manager of the Walmart.
Okay, just the address for the record.
This?
Oh, your address.
My address is 221 Riley Ave, Somerset, Mass.
Okay, very well. So what brings you here tonight?
Applying for a permit to have trailers for storage containers on the property, 6 of them, 40-foot long, for October, November, and December.
Okay,
These trailers are going to be for the layaways for the community. At that particular time is when we offer layaways for the customers, and we keep them in those containers.
all right, do you have set of plans?
Well, what I have is the drawing of the building itself and showing where the trailers would be. The trailers would, when we bring it up.
Sure. Can you let Charlie look at them first, please, quick? Are they the same place they were last year?
That's correct. I have online groceries on the other side of the building. So I have a canopy and parking spots for online grocery on the other side of the building, so I can't put the containers there.
All right.
Oh, so the online is groceries only? It's not anything in the store?
No, there's pickup today in the store, but we have parking spots for online groceries for the customers to actually come by and we deliver them into their vehicles.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is an annual thing. You come every year, ask for these containers for Christmas, for November, December, October, November, December.
That's correct, sir.
I believe somebody from Walmart was before us within the last 2 or 3 months, and we suggested that we approve this so that it could happen on an annual basis without making you come back.
And that's,
Is that the reason you're here?
that's correct.
So you're not looking for October, November, December 2018. You're looking for October, November, December 18 and thereafter.
Correct.
Until terminated by this board.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me ask a question. How long the fire department allows these to be? Do they allow them as long as you want?
The fire department, yes.
Okay.
I haven't had an issue with the fire department.
How
with
about
these.
building department? David, is storage containers, how long you could get a permit for to keep them? Like 6 months, 1 year, 2 months, 2 days? If you could come forward, please.
Wareham Building Commissioner Dave Requena. So, all depending on how big the container is. If it's a 20-foot container, they can have them. If it's a 40-foot container, it's up to you as to how long they can have them. In his situation, this is a site plan modification, so you guys would have to rule as far as the time frame.
I know that personally, 3 months is a long time by the road there. I'm just gonna ask the board one by one, see how they feel about it. Wilma?
No, I think it's too long to have them next to the road, like you said. They're right there as you come by.
Jimmy?
I don't have an issue with it.
Jen,
I don't have an issue with it.
what do you think?
Is it next to the road or is it behind the store?
It's next to the road
Road
due
track.
to the online
Okay,
grocery
I got it.
on the other side of the building.
Kenny, what do you think of this?
It'd be nice if it was another location and not visible from the road.
I know. I mean, if it was 30 days, just to,
Yeah,
like,
the only thing is the building is pushed back so far, there's no backyard, and if I was actually put them further into the parking lot, then it's the safety of the associates walking to those containers at night.
I know you,
Mr.
but,
Chairman,
yeah, go ahead.
when they got their permit for the Walmart, it was specified in the conditions that there was nothing but the parking spaces on Toby Road side. They really weren't supposed to have anything extra over there. That's why they had to move the storage of some of the garden stuff over on the far side, too.
Right.
But they didn't want, wasn't appealing to the,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's 25% of the time in the year. That's a long time. If it was like 30 days, I understand. And also, I think traffic there, what do you think, Charlie, with traffic there? Is that obstruct traffic? Is that parking spaces there, supposed to be parking spaces?
There are some parking spaces
I mean,
there.
you-
They use them more for lawn and garden at this time of the year. In the wintertime, there's not too many people use that parking spot.
I know, but they're figured out for, I mean,
Yeah.
you're taking out a good 30 spots at least, or 40.
We offer a layaway 3 months out of the year, and that's the only
I
time.
do understand, and you do have a big building. That's my opinion anyway. Why don't we,
Let me ask you another
yeah, go
question.
ahead.
How, are these accessed on an hourly, by minute, daily basis? How, what's the frequency of from the store to the storage?
So when customers come and put layaways on, we actually put the layaway into the trailers, and then they pick them up. They can pick them up at any time. Some people pick them up within a week, some people hold them for at least a month.
So if I put a pair of sneakers on layaway, the person that I hand them to is gonna run out of the store and put them in the trailer that minute?
Yes, that night, so,
That night?
that night, yes.
So it's done every night?
Yes.
It's not done minute by minute?
No, it's daily. If I have 20, 30 people that actually put the layaways on, I have to put those in the trailer to keep the store
At the
as
end of the
clean as
day, you
possible.
keep the store running all day, you store it inside, in the evening, you bring it all out to the trailer. All right,
Yes.
then I show back up and I say, I want my sneakers. How do you get them out?
We have to go back into,
That, right then and there while I'm waiting?
that's correct.
Okay. So going out of the store into the trailer happens once a day or
Well, it
something?
depends on how many layaways are put on. Sometimes it could be 2, 3 times.
But going and getting them, you just go get it, somebody sends, you send a runner the minute the people show up?
Correct, an associate goes outside and grabs the item.
There's no room in the back anywhere to put them, or the other side?
Well, at that particular time, with all the merchandise coming in for Christmas and Black Friday, we do get a little bit more freight than normal those times of the year.
I'm not, personally, I'm not comfortable, and I think it's a big obstruction being there for 90 days. I mean, what do we tell the people across the street if they want to do it, and the crossing and everyone else? I understand 1 container for 30 days, or six containers for 30 days, but 90 days, that's a long time. That's
Yeah,
a lot of space.
And I understand that across the street, there's the houses were taken down, so no one lives across the street anymore. It's all these across the street that way.
Yeah, I understand, but there's people who travel that
Yep.
road every day, and we don't like to look at containers. I mean, we live in Wareham, I don't like to look at containers unless it's a necessity or a short period of time.
How about on the whole opposite end of the building, over where the canopy for the pickup is? Isn't there a big, like, staging area there for the...
There's parking spots there, and a lot of the canopy's right there. I can think about trying to put it on that side. I'm not sure I can get 6 trailers on that side of the building, though, with the canopy there.
Yeah, you guys own just to that fence, you don't own past it?
Pass it where, sir?
On the grocery store side, on the grocery pickup. Let me look at the plans once. If you don't mind.
So they want to put them here, right?
Okay. These wetland lines. Charlie, can you check it this quick? Is this the 100-foot wetline? These are the wetland flags, right?
I don't know.
If you don't mind.
There are two lines on that plan.
Okay, this the wet,
me just look at
Go ahead.
there's no marking like 30 feet
This
or
is
something.
40, this is 40 scale. This is the intermittent stream, and then it becomes a perennial stream beyond that. So there would be a 100-foot setback, and then from the perennial stream, there's an additional 100-foot setback.
200?
Yeah.
And
So
what's that? This is
that would
I
be,
think I have the most current one on me.
That's the
all
limit.
right, this, all right, this is intermittent, so there isn't any 200 setback there, but there is 100 feet. So
Okay, what's the scale here?
this is 40. There's 40, there's 80, so that's a 100-foot setback line right there.
Do you want to come forward?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Pat, this is the 100, that's the 200, right?
No, no, this is the property boundary.
Okay,
This-
but you could be 100 from that stream.
Well, provided that's not the if the wetland line is at the stream, yes, but if the wetland line is further out this way, then you're gonna be 100 feet from that line.
Okay, what's the BVW?
That's bordering vegetative wetland,
So you gotta be 100 from here. So
without a notice to conservation.
Correct.
You can, if this is the 50-foot no-touch zone here, which
Yeah.
I'd have to just study the
So
plan a little
what
bit.
I'm trying to say, can they put it here?
Possibly, but there's a slope here, but they'd have to extend this out to create a space.
Right.
But to answer your previous question, this aisle over here is used a lot by people who come in from the south.
I know.
They turn in here and come this way all the time.
I know.
Two, at least two.
Listen,
And there's no service entrance over here either.
right. I recommend you go back to your engineering department or to your headquarters,
Make a pad.
try to build a wall and pad, and this way we give you permanent. You could put them all the time, and right here. Okay?
Okay. Is this where my docks are?
Yes, that's your docks. That's the double door on the side, this is the woods, this is the street, this the woods. These are your docks, I think you back up in here. That must be your recycling area, you see recycling here? Okay,
This is the edge of your pavement right here.
so you get room right here,
We're taking you off the pavement.
Yep.
all right? Maybe put a retaining wall, I mean, you gotta have an engineer do it.
They could build a pad here that would
You
accommodate.
got plenty of time till October to do this.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know last year we let it go, it happens quick, and we appreciate you coming back as we asked you, and that's the reason we want you to come back, because we don't want you to be there at the last minute.
Now, see, they also have back, in the back section where you were just talking about, they have a lot of pallets stacked all the time. So they could
expected.
move the pallets out and still have room. Because
Yeah.
This is what the bylaw allows here.
You wanna read it?
Yeah, for accessory storage containers, the bylaw allows for movable metal storage container of no more than 20 feet in length and screened from neighborhood and public view.
So,
You're at 40 feet and you're not
40
screened.
at times 6. All right, so what are we gonna do? We're just gonna not vote anything, right?
I agree.
Just leave it the way it is, and you go back to your headquarters and pass the message and see what they come up with, and this way, you'll have no problem. I mean, they spend a little bit money and it's done, and we'll give you permanent permit, and this way, every year you could put them there, keep them more than 90 days, you could probably put them for 6 months. As long as they're tucked in the back, they're not bothering anyone.
Okay.
But
right.
that'll be a full site plan, engineering, all the stuff. You just call the office.
Okay.
It's gotta be the proper,
That's the problem.
it's gotta be like, you gotta follow the procedure,
Okay.
all right?
You want them or you
Great.
want me to take?
Thank
You
you.
want this for the folder, or you want to let him have it?
No, you could have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night. Petition 20-16, Christopher Timpson, 4 Cameron Street.
Continue. And what's this?
Good evening, how are you?
Christopher Timpson here to see you, hoping,
What's your address for the record?
Christopher Timpson.
Your address, mailing address.
My office is in, at 89 Access Road in Norwood, Massachusetts.
Okay,
I'm representing the estate of Marie Timpson.
right, okay, so what brings you here tonight?
Well, I'm looking for some help to get this project over the finish line. We've had a difficult time within the estate. There's 5 beneficiaries, and it's been somewhat difficult. We got this to the point where we had a P&S, we were ready to close, we got the permits actually issued, and then the wheels kind of started to come off. There was an issue as to the timing of when the building permit application went in versus the extended variance time.
Yeah.
And so what I'm looking for is 3 things. First of all, I'm looking to get the 6-month extension that was voted last April 27th modified or revised so that the extension ends on December 30th of 2017. That would be 6 months from the date that it was recorded with the...
So you want an extension until December 30? Have you started at all?
We've put in the building permit application, so we've done all those things to exercise the permit. We've capped and cut the water service. We've put in a $7,500 application fee to the building department. We've,
Did you take the buildings down?
no, the buildings have not come down yet.
When do your permit expire? When does it expire?
The special permit,
Yeah.
it would expire, I'm asking for a construction extension on that, but it would extend under section 1461.4 of your bylaw.
Yeah. June,
You guys take in the 20-day appeal period, so it would be
like June 30.
July
First.
20th of
Yeah.
this year.
Okay, but are you planning to take did you get a demolition permit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got that.
When you wanna take the building down?
I'm sorry?
When you gonna start taking the buildings down?
Well, so when the sale closes, the person who purchases it is going to take down the building and construct these. That's the plan. You know,
With
these-
David, it's cotton the services and stuff, is that considered they started the project? I mean, if you legally started it, you don't need an extension. Is that considered started if they capped the sewer?
Decision was made.
I'm actually just getting back in the room, so
He's asking for an extension for his special permit and variance, but he already cut the water, capped the sewer, put all these fees and stuff. Did you put a fence, construction fence? No?
Not, but we got all the perimeter staked. We did all
Stuff,
those
is that
things.
considered started?
Asbestos
Isn't that
removal.
considered no? You really have to do some,
I'm reading Attorney Timpson's letter here, and I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm trying to read too little, too quick, or too much, too long. It says here on the first page of your letter that 20-day appeal period, et cetera. Therefore, since the variance was recorded at the town clerk on June 30, 2016, that the variance extension was until December 30, 2017.
Yeah, so the year would be to June 30, 2017. Then I had asked for a 6-month extension, which it seemed like that was something that you folks were willing to grant.
Right.
The date that got recorded...
So June
in the-
30, 16 got us, so the grant would end on, the intended to grant would end on December 30, 2017.
Yes, but in the minutes, it gave to November 22nd, 2017.
So you're asking for it to be corrected to December 30th, 2017?
Precisely,
All
yeah.
right. But then it goes on to say, on the back, on the next page, they applied for the building permit for the structures, blah, 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 on December 28th, 2018.
Oh, that's a typo.
But that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I apologize.
Typo.
That's a typo.
Okay, that's what I'm, so my confusion is, okay.
Okay, yeah, no, we.
I'm easily confused.
So how much time you need?
So if the extension grant were corrected to December 30th of 2017, I got the building permit application in, I believe that that would be sufficient for Dave to find that.
If I could just clarify, so his application came in on time if it was a true 180-day extension. His application was received on time and his permits were issued. If his extension goes until December 30th, his application came in November sometime. If it's only a 5-month extension, I can't issue his permits. If it's a true 180-day extension, his permits are valid and they can be issued.
So it's the issue of November 22nd or December 30th on the extension.
Correct.
And we're saying that it could be an error in the way things were written. It could be a,
Right.
so you just want,
If it was a 6-month extension, his permits are issued and they can be handed off to him tomorrow.
So 6 months extension will push you till December 30, 2018, will be fine?
That would be fine, yes, sir. That's what I'm hoping that you're willing to do.
I see Jan over there reading like crazy.
No, I'm listening.
I don't mind personally, but we want to move forward.
Yes, I
I
mean,
mean, we're not gonna go real legal details on this permit, but we want to move forward. So next,
agree.
I mean, at least take that building down.
the estate wants nothing more than to move this property and let the builder who's purchasing it start going on.
All right.
So I make a motion to, do we need to close and all that jazz? I'm going to make a motion that we correct the record from November 22nd to December 30th, 2017, and let the building inspector grant, or let it happen by right.
Okay. I'm not, just to let you know, I won't be willing to extend after the December. So hopefully you start that project past that.
Okay. It should get going. Once we know that the permit is okay and it can be,
Yeah.
we're gonna close, and
Okay.
I know this builder wants to get going. He's,
All right, so you will start before Christmas, that's what you
Oh,
said?
for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
okay, very well. All right, we have a motion by Jim, do I have a second?
Second.
Do we need to open and close or any of that?
No,
jazz?
We
just-
didn't have a hearing. no.
Okay,
You didn't have a hearing.
okay.
Just,
So
just, like, simple majority needs.
simple majority, okay.
All right, do I have a second? I have second by Jen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstains. Good. So December,
and I was looking for two other items.
where are they?
One of them was, because we're now up against the special permit construction deadline in July, I'm hoping that you would be willing to find good cause, as is allowed on section 1461.4, to extend that for some period of time. I think I asked for 3 months. I don't know what you'd be willing to do, just because the builder's gonna close on it, and now we're almost against the July 4th holiday. I think it's gonna be touch and go. If you'd be willing to give even 60 days, just so that construction can get going in a reasonable fashion.
So how long you need? Go ahead, Jim.
What's the current
Cut off?
time for performance from the purchase and sale agreement?
Well, it's passed.
I understand he's in extension, so he extended until what date?
I guess, in all honesty, we don't have a date. It depends on what happens tonight. Now, you've already voted to,
I tend to grant a 45-day extension with no further extension unless they show a closed purchase and sale.
that's fine by me.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose.
Dave had a, I think
I'm
he had
sorry,
a
Dave.
comment before.
It's already been voted. I would just caution the board to be careful on this. I don't know how many extensions have been granted, but there is a limit as to how many are allowed under the law, so. If it's required, maybe to come back after one more meeting, just to do a little bit more review in this case, before a vote is actually.
Well, we could extend permit, we could give extension as much as we want.
Special permits and variances have limits.
I do, but we could give an extension at least couple, on special permit, more than once.
It's just a caution.
We just
All
gave
right.
them 45 days. If they don't close in the next 45 days, they gotta come back.
Variances are limited to one 6-month extension.
Right,
There's no limit for special permits for extensions.
okay.
And then, so that was voted. The last thing that I was asking for, and if you folks don't want to do this, it's fine. There was an issue when the buyer went to the building department with regard to the special permit being transferable. My research shows that unless you state in your decision that the special permit is not transferable, then it is transferable. Your special permit decision does not say anything about it being not transferable. So I did make a request for you to say that it is transferable, just to get this buyer's caution down.
Doesn't it go without saying it's transferable?
You're allowed to impose a condition that makes it
Unless we say it's not transferable.
to the applicant, but you didn't, if you didn't,
We didn't, so it's transferable.
fine.
So I'll withdraw that request,
You can't.
Yeah.
okay?
All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you very much for your...
Yeah, let's get that building down before winter if we can. Start, thank you.
Thank you.
No,
What we got here?
no.
All right, public hearings, 22-18, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Thank you.
Should I start reading?
Yeah, let's read it, and then we'll give them the option if they don't wanna go
Okay. The
forward.
zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on June 27th, 2018, at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 22-18 for a use variance from the requirements of Article 3, Section 313, Article 3, 321, Article 14, Section 1470 of the Wareham zoning bylaws to Enterprise Rent-A-Car, 405 West Street, West Bridgewater, Mass. 02379, seeking to create an auto rental use located at 1 Express Drive, Wareham, Mass. That's Assessors Map 87, Lot 1000D1 in the Industrial Zoning District.
We need your name for the record.
Go ahead. Doug Valeri, 405 West Street, West Bridgewater, Mass.
So,
Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering, 1024 Pearl Street, Brockton, Mass.
all right, just wanna let you know, you have a board of 4. You're entitled to have 5, so you could deny to start the hearing. If you go with the 4, you need 4 out of 4, so I don't know what your wishes. We could continue until next time. You're entitled to have 5 members. Next time was Wednesday, the 11th.
We're gonna roll the dice.
You go for the next?
No, we're gonna do it now.
You gonna go now?
Sure.
You need a variance.
Yes.
Okay, where's the Express Drive?
That's Cape Cod Express?
Right, exactly.
Does that make it clear for everybody? Jan? Cape Cod Express, you know where that is? Behind Walmart, across the street from
Yes.
Wareham Crossing.
All right,
Right.
Right
so you're
beside the
gonna
post
go
office.
forward.
Yes,
Next to
sir.
the post office.
Okay.
Right.
Plead your case.
All right, thank you. Well, as you read, what we're looking for is a use variance to allow for the rental of trucks in the existing building at 1 Express Drive. Enterprise Rent-A-Car is proposing to build a 25 by 25-foot office in the existing building, and then have 11 parking spaces that would be dedicated to their use in the existing parking lot. So there's no changes to the parking area at all, no changes to the building itself, except for the interior of the building, just building that 25 by 25-foot office. And the rentals, they basically go from a pickup truck to a box truck, kind of like a Hertz or a Penske or one of those businesses. So that's all they're looking for. No changes to the site, no changes to the exterior of the building at all. Really, the reason we need it, it's not a specified use in the industrial zone. The rental of vehicles is not listed as an allowed use. So because of that, the building inspector recommended that we come before you folks for the variance.
Okay. What's your hardship? What's your hardship
For,
to grant you a variance? Why should we grant you a variance?
we don't have a presence down in this area, so we'd like to have one.
Yeah, but the hardship should be for the land. The land has to have a hardship, not much.
But it's already used for that purpose. That's the, kind of the kicker. It's used today for distribution center, for 18-wheelers. So we just asking for a piece of that land that's already pre-existing as an ancillary use.
And you rent, and you're the V in SAV?
Yeah, no, I am enterprise.
You're Enterprise?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're gonna rent tractors for tractor-trailer trucks, lease them, or you're gonna rent cars for me to?
It's gonna be the same thing like a Penske operation. So we would rent box trucks, all the way down to pickup. So it's just the heavier duty vehicles.
It's not automobile, it's not for personal transportation, it's for transport of merchandise or things.
You could come in and rent a truck if you had to move your,
I could come in and rent a pickup truck if I wanna go run the power lines and destroy a truck.
yeah,
and then-
absolutely, you could do that. And just take the
Or I
day
could
waiver.
come and get a big box truck and go down to Connecticut and pick up a bunch of furniture and
Yes.
just like, okay.
Like a
But I
U-Haul,
couldn't go
basically.
there and get a Mustang and
No,
get tickets on Route 195 for
No.
going too fast.
no, correct.
Okay.
Wilma, okay, sorry. Wilma, what do you think?
I have a couple of questions. Off of Toby Road, going in there, you've cleared quite a bit of property along the left-hand side on the express.
I don't know anything about, that's SAV or,
No, I'm just stating that there's been vehicles parked in there, big semis, or even some of the golf
Different piece
carts.
of property?
Trucks have been parked along there.
Different piece of
Now,
property.
where beyond that are you?
so I don't necessarily know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, you're coming off of, huh?
It's behind it,
It's behind, at the end,
behind
almost.
where you're seeing the trucks or the trailers parked, it's behind that.
It's behind that, all right. But you should know where you're parking.
I just didn't know, I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were saying that they parked them, because I don't run SAV.
No, I'm just saying that that's where they were parked. They've been there, and I've been wondering, how come they have all that extra room? And behind there wasn't. So how many vehicles do you plan on having in?
Well, our purpose is, if they're sitting there, we're not making money. So we have an operation in West Bridgewater that we'll have 15 acres of parking, that those trucks will come down from there as needed, on an as-needed basis, and they'll get rented out. So we don't store vehicles because we don't make money if we store them. So our purpose is to get them on the road. When they're rented long-term. They're typically from a business like SAV will rent a lot of trucks, especially during the holiday season. Or if they need extra surplus to run supplies over to the Nantucket, not the vineyard. But they rent them for 6 months, a year at a time. So, once they're on the road, they're on the road for a long time.
But what do you have space for, you know? to
There's
have
11 spaces.
11
11,
dedicated parking spaces.
And that's all?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you couldn't find a commercial location somewhere?
That is commercial, that's,
That's industrial.
oh, well.
That's why you're here for a use variance.
Well, so, I guess what we're hoping is, since it's an already existing distribution center, 18-wheeler use, the rental would be an ancillary use to that. So, to answer your question, no, we would have a great partnership with SAV.
I do, I totally
That's why we
understand.
wanna be
but you don't have a hardship for the use, for the variance for the use. I do understand it matches the business, the trucks and everything, but I know it's not detriment for the neighborhood that goes and harmony with the area and everything, but your biggest problem, you don't have a hardship for the land. And unfortunately, my personal opinion, it's hard for me to do that. So if you want to continue it, you're going to get a lawyer, maybe argue it more, I don't know. Maybe you want to try that. Or if you want to sleep on it, think about it more. You have to argue it why you have a hardship, how you have a hardship, to give you the use variance. But let me ask you another member, Russ, what do you think?
There's a really high standard for obtaining a variance, and I'm not hearing that. It has been met. And so perhaps the chairman suggesting that maybe you want to continue this and consult with perhaps an attorney about crafting an argument that you meet the requirement for a use variance might be a wise decision to make.
Okay, we'll do that.
Ken, you want to say anything?
This is a small use of the building. It's a temporary use of the parking lot. It doesn't commit anything really to the change in the use of the property, but I don't see the hardship either, as yet.
Well, maybe,
Are you saying a use isn't, it's not are you saying a use variance isn't?
It's not a significant change in the use.
I don't see how it's any change in the use. The place is used for trucks, and he's gonna use it for trucks.
it's a retail.
There's rental,
Retail is commercial.
Retail,
yes, rental.
The issue, as you said, as explained by the building inspector also, that's exactly it. It's an existing trucking terminal, but our use is a retail use, which is not allowed in the industrial zone.
Exactly. Same like if they want to do a house, that's a use variance too in industrial.
okay. I think it's too bad. It would be a good place for them. I think maybe your suggestion that they get an attorney to come in and argue their position and
Maybe the attorney could see an argument for the hardship that we can't see, or you can't explain to us.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't-
if you, unless,
attorneys can fabricate just about anything if you ask them to. You pay them enough money.
Right.
If the glove doesn't fit, you know?
What are the requirements, but like you say hardship, I mean, how do you prove a hardship on a business that is
It's
providing
hard.
service? You know?
well, hardships are for the land. I mean, how can I explain it for you? Say you have, it's for the land. Say you have a land and the setback is 30 feet, and say the railroad track goes right in the middle of your land. And if you set back your house 30 feet, your house becomes 10 feet wide. So you'll ask for a variance to be 10 feet, so your house is 30 feet wide. Because that railroad track cuts your land in half, it makes such a great hardship for you. Otherwise, you need big bridge to go over to cross your other piece of land. But in here, you don't have the hardship. Another example, say in here you came and you say you want to put a carport in the back for the trucks when they come in from the rain, and you don't have the setback in the back. Let's say your setback's 20 feet and your carport, it brings you into 18 feet. So you need that 2 feet variance, and and it's hardship because the land such tight. We'll consider this, but
And I understand what you're saying. I guess my confusion comes in where it's, the land's there, we're not adding land, we're not taking away land. We're parking vehicles where vehicles are parked today. We're just gonna conduct retail out of a small portion of that.
the use variance becomes harder. Let me give you another example. Say you want to open a gas station in a residential neighborhood. That's a use variance. That's very hard.
Correct.
You know, so let's say the gas station allowed use in a commercial and you need a little setback from the side or the front. It might work based on the shape and the size, the shape and the topography of the land and the soil, the type of soil. It depends for the foundation, say it's too clayish or whatever. But like I said, the use variance is very hard. It's like you're asking to put a strip club in a residential area, which maybe it's allowed there, maybe you could put one in the industrial park. So use variance is very hard.
May I ask a question? Would it be a hardship if there were no commercial sites available, and this is all?
No.
No?
So if you want to invest in an attorney and come back,
Yeah.
or look for a commercial property in the meantime.
Okay.
But unfortunately, right now, we can't do that. So you wanna
Yeah, we'll continue.
continue it? Okay.
Let's continue.
All right, Jimmy.
You want to continue for just one meeting, or
Yeah,
get this
on
thing
on the
going?
11,
One meeting, please.
on the 11,
July 11?
yep. Motion to
So we
continue.
move to continue till July 11th at the request of the petitioner.
All right, do I have a second to continue
Second.
22-18?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor to continue, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. Okay, we'll see you next meeting, same time.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you very much. Yes.
I would encourage them to check, I believe there was site plan review that was probably issued by the planning board when this and the Cape Cod Express buildings were put up. I don't remember what the conditions were in that site plan review, but it would be advisable for them to review it.
Yeah, if you got an attorney, he's gonna ask you to do that. He's gonna ask for the previous site plan when that Cape Cod Express was,
Sign, they can't put the
you know, it might be one that was granted that permit, that nothing to be added to it, bunch of stuff, so have him look at it. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Have a good night.
Are we moving on to 1418 Alfif El Baba? I think I saw a letter from,
Yeah, let's continue this for him.
looking to continue, or is it?
Why don't we take this back before we do?
Yeah. Oh, I got that. You want everything, huh? That's the right way, thank you.
All right, continue public hearing, 14-18, Afif El Baba, 3070 Cranberry Highway, major modification. Did you open this? It is continued, so it is open.
There is a letter here.
Yeah, I know it is.
Okay. This is Timpson. Please reschedule the above referenced hearings. They are currently scheduled for June 27th to July 25th. It is my understanding there will be a four-person board for this evening's hearing, and my clients would prefer to postpone until there's a five-person board. Okay.
It's a continuance.
Continue.
Okay, should we make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to continue petition 14-18 to July 25.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain, okay. 13-18, Wareham Family Dental, 4345 Sandwich Road.
This is 4345?
Yes,
Thanks.
Hi, Bill. We could proceed if you wish. We could exercise the Mullen right for next time. Carl could review the tape and read the minutes,
Is this variance, or is this
and he
special
can jump
permit?
right back in.
If the need arose to go that route.
You don't have to go forward with the four members.
I realize that, yeah.
Yeah, but if you do,
Express.
Carl can review the minutes. He could miss one meeting under the Mullen rules.
Do we not have four members that could vote tonight?
We do.
We do.
And all we need is a simple majority. We don't need a...
No. No, it's a site plan, a special
Oh,
permit.
okay.
You need all four, I need all four of these votes.
Right, I mean, we could discuss it, and you could wait, we could continue it until Carl come back. Whichever,
Yeah, I'll do that.
you know, we could start it.
Chairman?
Yes,
Has the town adopted the exception to the Mullen rule?
yes, it has.
Okay, so if you do continue it and you have a missing member, they can review the record, sign the statement, and they'll be an eligible voter at the next hearing.
okay.
And I think we could, if it came down to taking a vote tonight, we could probably take a vote on it, for that matter, if we felt comfortable that I would receive four votes.
Yeah. Right, very well. So public hearing, just name for the address, and name for the record and address.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham.
All right. So, still open, so let's keep going.
Well, this is the second hearing. We had the initial hearing, and review comments were provided by Mr. Rowley. On the original filing, we addressed each one of the comments that he provided him with the revised plans and a comment letter dated, a response letter rather, dated June 20th of 2018. And we can go through the letter, but I don't really think there's anything outstanding at this time. One issue that we did talk about, and there's 2 parking spaces. I believe this is the only outstanding matter. There's 2 parking spaces at the rear of the parking lot that are adjacent to, the last 2 parking spaces at the rear of the parking lot. And be removed and turned into landscape. However, we want to retain those spaces because the other option for trash disposal would be to hire a private contractor to, when they clean the building, take out the records, things of that nature, and there would not be a need for a dumpster. In the event that were to take place, that would free up space to turn out of those 2 spaces and provide essentially vehicles an opportunity to get out of the parking lot. As it is right now, I think that if they were smaller cars that were parked in those 2 spaces, there's a 10-foot turning radius out of each one of those and enough space between the dumpster and the little tail on the parking lot that I think that someone could pull out of there. And if we designated those spaces to employee use only.
These 2 parkings in the back in the corner?
In the back in the corner, yeah. The back 2 spaces, I guess it would be on the southeast corner of the lot.
Yeah.
So those were the suggestions that we would have relative to that.
And there, are those,
It's also this one.
it says reserved for employee use only. Would that be 2 of those 5 spaces?
That's correct. All of those 5 spaces are reserved for employee parking. We have that little box.
So all he has to do is not pay 2 of his employees good enough to have a big car, and he's all set.
Exactly.
Little cars.
That would be these 5 spaces here.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
And my joke about the little car and the pay. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let me go to Charlie, did you review it? What do you think? Drainage, parking, all this,
Well,
except the issue.
They don't conform, the 2 parking spaces with the aisle width don't conform to 90-degree parking.
These
your
2
bylaw-
spots?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So if they were to remove the dumpster, you'd have something that would be a little bit more clear. My suggestion would be that you could turn those at 90 degrees and do away with if you do away with the dumpster, you could turn those 2 spaces 90 degrees, and they could back straight out. You still have the stairway to deal with, and it's right behind the 2 spaces that we're talking about. I know Bill mentioned something about they would be cleaning once a week, so all the trash and everything, if they do that, I assume would be stored inside the building. Otherwise, there's no place to put trash on the outside.
Besides the dumpster issue, what do you say, other than this issue? Have you reviewed the drainage,
The only other issue which I brought up, and I asked them in item number 4 in my letter of June 4th to tell us which were office use or commercial use which abutted the property and which were residential. The adjacent use, which is on Sandwich Road, is a commercial property. The others are residential. So I think you have to make the determination as to whether the landscaping applies, because when you have a commercial piece of property that abuts residential, there's a 40-foot landscaping buffer. Nowhere on the property does that meet that compliance.
You mean to the cardiologist side?
On the rear of the property, it's all residential.
Okay.
On the right-hand side, if you look at it from Sandwich Road, that's residential. So I think you have to make a determination as to whether or not that 40-foot landscape buffer applies, and if it does, are you willing to grant the variance for that? You did for
We did
use.
discuss last time, would these parking in the back, what's the existing condition? These parking spaces in the back, they don't exist now, do they?
No, no, it's all sort of trashy back there right now, which they'd clean up. I have no problem with the plan, except for those two things.
All right,
That's the 2 spaces, and what was the other one?
this, the landscape and buffer.
Landscaping.
Yes.
And the landscaping.
Right. They've modified the drainage, I'm happy with that. We took care of some grading issues, that's taken care of. Everything else that was in my letter.
Commercial to residential is 40 feet?
Yes. Between commercial and residential, the landscaping buffer is 40 feet.
Now,
I
is
think
that
that's a
based
little-
on, is that based on use or based on zoning?
Zoning,
It's based on zoning.
zoning.
So isn't
No,
this,
it actually-
hasn't this property been rezoned residential, and we've granted them a
No, let me just,
use
let me
variance?
just verify that for you.
Well, there's actually 2 uses on the lot. There is a residential use on the westerly side.
Right.
And, I think that we did a pretty good job of enhancing the landscaping, probably a little bit more than what would normally be required. A similar fashion at the rear, where we cut up against the Wareham Housing Authority property, like those, we did the same addition to the plant material that separates the parking lot from the rest of the use. There's also a vinyl fence proposed as well.
My memory is that the town took this out of commercial zoning, and it's now zoned MR30.
The way that section 1042 reads is that it's based on use. So proposed use versus the adjacent
Okay.
use.
Right.
So
It really
where it's-
doesn't
where it's
matter the
residential
zoning.
use on one side, and we're talking about office space versus residential, the setback is 40 feet, or the
Right.
buffer zone is 40 feet. I don't have a problem with
I don't
the
either.
same zone. I'm just saying that you
You
need to
just
address
pointed
it.
it out, I get it.
All right, let me ask you something, Bill. Did you get a state curb cut yet? Did you get the permit?
We do not have the permit yet, but we have filed it. Yes, we filed it.
And they okay with that 25 feet radius coming in?
I have not had that discussion with them directly. Somebody else from the office has.
All right, well, until we get that permit, I don't think we can move for a vote. Now, is your application with this, does it call for a variance in the application? Did you advertise for a variance for the landscaping, or?
I thought that when we discussed the variance, we had a use variance hearing.
Right.
And we discussed that at the original hearing when we were granted that variance.
I think it was a special permit, to be honest with you, but variance was granted, fine, but, so if they need that setback, do we need to go back and advertise for this? To get a variance for that setback?
I don't know, I would question whether or not this is actually office use, that's the definition. Isn't this mixed use?
Oh,
They have the
they're gonna
residential.
use this
Even
as
if it's a
demo.
mixed use, you have to, in the mixed use, you need a setback. Once you have a commercial property, you need that 40 feet setback. I know it's somewhere in the bylaw, it's about 40 feet.
Oh, it's a table.
I know,
The table,
I don't know the number, but if Charlie says 40. it's
1042, section 1042.
40. I don't have a problem with granting a variance, but the question is,
Did we advertise it
did
properly?
you advertise it properly?
So that the people in the housing and behind know that they have a chance to come in and talk. Is that what your concern is?
Right, but they didn't come for the permit, but it has to be advertised and filed. Would you have a problem, Bill? I mean, we still have to hear from the state, right? Would you have a problem, apply for a variance for the landscaping? Maybe you do the sign at once, if you want to put it to the left, coming in to the right?
We relocated the sign to the left, which complies with the zoning requirements. The sign was changed. We had it on the right-hand side of the site over
Right.
here. We moved it to this location, so it's well.
Single family.
How much is setback?
It's about, I don't know, 9 or 10 feet from.
What's, the existing is like right on the borderline, right? It's right on the property
The
line.
existing sign is a pole-mounted sign, it's right
Yeah.
on the corner of the property line of
Okay.
the layout.
What I would apply for a variance. I mean, the sign shouldn't be a problem if you're making it more conforming. And I would do an application, one application for sign and the landscape, and so everybody on the
I
same.
don't believe we need a variance for the sign because it's compliant, it's less than 40 square feet in size. And that's the size that's required, there is no setback required for the sign. I checked with the building commissioner today on that.
There is a setback for a sign.
I-
Isn't there a setback for a sign? There is setback, it's a structure,
Right,
no?
there's setback from signs.
Setback, it's a structure. You need a setback, it needs to comply with setbacks. You can't just put don't matter, you can't just put a sign
Well,
anywhere.
I mean, you know, from a practical point of view, I don't really think that there's too many signs, if any, in town that meet the
That's true,
setback.
but I mean, we're not here to fix the rest of the town. But I don't have a problem with it, but I do understand you have the sign, the existing sign right now, you could just go and renew it right there, so it shouldn't be a problem. We're just trying to help you out to make sure everything in order. You're just gonna make it more conforming, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm just suggesting, you're gonna apply for variance for the landscaping, might as well do the sign. I mean, I don't see it's a big deal.
No, if we have to advertise.
I mean, might as well, right?
There is.
That makes sense, Charlie?
If it's required, I haven't reviewed it with respect to the setback on the sign, whether it has to be 20 feet or what the story is. Clearly, you have to deal with the landscaping, but I would, with respect to the curb cut permit, though, that sometimes takes a little while to get. They do have a 25-foot radius. Maybe they'll make it 30 feet, I don't know. But I would think that any decision that you make, you would include in your decision that it's subject to the receipt of a curb cut from the state. That's typically the way
Right.
we've done it in the past.
I do know that the state likes coming in 50 feet, but he might not be able to provide that, but if they go
So,
for it, I don't care.
My experience with them is that they want a particular radius to the lot line, and then after you get beyond the lot line, they don't care what it is.
Right.
So he's pretty close to complying right now, so there may be no change to that, I don't know. But I would suggest you make the variance or whatever you're dealing with tonight, simply subject to the receipt of a curb cut permit from Mass Highway.
How can we get a solid answer on the setback on signs? Who can give us a solid answer? Where's
Dave
David?
still here?
He
Mr.
left.
Chairman?
Yes.
Your definition of structure
Yeah,
in your bylaw states a combination of materials assembled at a fixed location to give support or shelter, such as building, bridge, trestle, tower, framework, retaining wall, tank, tunnel, tent, stadium, reviewing stand, platform, bin, fence, sign, flagpole, or the like. So it is a structure under your bylaw.
I know, because my previous years, I had to do many variances for signs because it's over. So, anything you want to address, Charlie?
No, I'm satisfied with the plan. I just wanted to bring that to your attention and so you could discuss that. Unless there's a dire need that they have those two spaces, I'd like to see them removed. That way, there's no issue. You've got a dumpster, you don't have to deal with that.
I don't have a problem with them being there. If the employees park there, they just have to be.
It's just that they're not compliant with what you need for a parking space if you have those obstructions in there, and unless you're going to specify it can only be used by a compact car. then
Okay, you got a
can't do
problem,
it.
put sign, compact car, employees only?
That's what he suggested earlier in his
We
presentation.
have no issue with that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem if they keep it for the employee, personally, I don't have a problem. Do you have a problem with it?
So-
Wilma, you have a problem with it?
Can I ask one question?
Sure. Turn that mic so it could be on.
How come one dentist needs so many parking spaces? I mean, no, it's just the way they're set up near the building. You've got I counted 11. I mean, he's not gonna have 11 people in there I've gone to enough dentists with kids and stuff, and he's supposed to be a family dentist. He's not going to have all these, so why does he have to have these two
I believe that we applied the parking schedule to the square footage of the building, and 1 per 250 is what I believe is what we did on that, to come up with the
Right.
number of parking spaces.
Well, does a dentist can have a couple of hygienists?
No,
There's
I'm
3
just-
chairs, and you'd have 3 chairs full and 3 chairs to refill. There's 6 cars right there, and, you know, if you're...
It's always good to have extra
No,
parking,
it was
bottom
just
line.
a question, because it's a small area to start with,
Not really.
to have a dentist office, a family dentist office. I'm talking about family.
That's a good size.
I mean, I wouldn't want to bring my kids in to a dentist and have him say, oh, well, I got another room, I gotta go, I'll be back,
No,
you know?
that's a preference.
And no, I'm just saying that you don't need that much parking.
Well, the parking is on the cover sheet, and it's the parking schedule is 1 space per 250 square feet of area. So we have 4,175 square feet of building, divided by 250, yielded us 17 spaces, and I believe we put 2119 required. So if we need to remove the 2, I suspect we just remove the 2. But the schedule is based upon, the parking spaces are based upon the parking schedule.
Remember, you wanna keep 2
Bylaw.
for the house, so you're perfectly right on the money. You need 2 for the house, so you're right on the money.
Well, no, I have 17 for the office, 2 for the unit, 19 total. It's, as noted on the plan, there's 2 additional spaces.
But wouldn't these 2 parking spaces be better to have your trash pickup back away from the building in that
Yeah,
corner?
I suppose so. I mean, you know, we can.
So I'm just saying, that would be better away from,
I mean, you know, the waste stream in the dentist's office is probably a little different than what you see in most businesses. I think the most sensitive portion of it all would be the financial records and the medical records of the patients. There's also biological waste, that's so-called, that's handled in a different manner, and I don't believe that's taken outside, put in the dumpster. So I think that, you know, I could perhaps come back with a little bit more information as to how they handle it in the office. You know, they're really, I think that if we look at some of the other dentist offices in town, there's probably not a dumpster out there, but let me look into that and be prepared to respond more accurately next time.
All right, when do you wanna come back? I'm okay with that parking spaces. You okay with it?
Yes.
Jim, you? I guess we'll have to argue otherwise next time. How long he needs to apply for the variance for the sign and the landscaping? How long did that take, if he starts it tomorrow?
It would, we put it into the paper for next week, we need 2 weeks, so I'd say it's 3 weeks out.
So do you wanna miss the 25th and come on the 8th, or you just wanna try to get it this?
8th of August?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I mean, if you wanna come on the 25th, get it this, but, I mean, you should have the variance for the landscaping. I think you should come back on the 8th.
Okay,
You'll have enough time, all right?
sure.
All right.
Now, are we modifying the application, or are we
He's
getting
gonna get a new one,
a whole new one, and would,
just for the sign and the
so
landscape.
this one still stays in effect, and so he's gonna have 2 matters in front of us on the 8th?
Correct.
Okay.
So we were talking about the landscape buffer, and we'll be talking about
The sign,
the signage.
yes. All right? All right, can I have a motion to continue 13-18 Family Dental 4345 Sandwich Road to August 8th?
So moved.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. Thanks, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you then. August 8th, that's... Very well. Kenny?
This is yours. We on Dakota now?
All right, very well.
we're invaded.
All right, 2-18 Dakota Partners, 3102 Cranberry Highway.
This is it. Do we need anything? Probably not, huh? We probably don't need anything out of there right now.
Very well. Good evening, Counselor.
Good evening. For the record, Peter Freeman, attorney for the applicant. Before we begin, just a procedural member composition question. I see one member
Missing.
is not here, and there's only 4 people. And do you have the Mullen Rule?
We do have, we did adopt it, so we could go forward, and Mr. Baptiste can review the minutes, and he could sit on it next time.
Okay, great. Glad to hear
All
it,
right.
because obviously we're happy to go forward. So-
All right, so public hearing still open, you could proceed.
I have one question.
Yeah.
How's Jim doing?
Yeah, he's doing better. He's home. This is Roberto Arista from Dakota.
Just a
Good
name for
evening.
the,
Thank you for
name and address for the record.
Roberto Arista. Address? Did you ask the address?
Yeah.
62 Atherton Road, Brookline, Massachusetts. Thank you for asking. I spoke to Jim today. He's quite tired, but he's recuperating, and he's probably going to be out for another 30 to 45 days.
Very well,
Thank you.
we're glad to hear that, so,
So, brief summary synopsis of where we were last time and where we are now. And we do have a presentation, as we had said, suspected, with such a short time, although we're very happy to be back, 2 weeks from last time. We did take to heart, that plan, and I think we may have had a chance to email the version that we're presenting now. Understood that nobody really had a chance to look at it, but Dom Rinaldi will
I think
present.
the head going, it did not get,
Okay. It was very late in the day being worked on, so I wasn't sure where we were with that. So Dom will present the revised plan, which basically, I think, dramatically speaks to and incorporates the proposed changes. It's a 150-unit proposal, and I know that the suggestion was 146. This relates to both the economics and the design with a number of buildings, number of units in the buildings. We also, although I think it makes sense to present the plan first and get your response and questions, but we did have review and response letter from Dom Rinaldi, our engineer, on the OSD water letter, and I know that those folks are here. And likewise on traffic, the traffic consultant, who I guess isn't here tonight, but we hadn't had a chance because it came in right before the hearings, which is fine. I'm just saying we didn't have a chance to do a written response at that time. So Colleen Medeiros, our traffic consultant, is here. We did, albeit it might have only been yesterday or today, but we did send in a response to that. So my druthers would be that we go through this presentation, which we hope will make you happy, and then if you want to do anything on our response on peer review or anything else, that's what we're here for, so.
very well. Just a name and address for the record and proceed.
Dominic Rinaldi with BSC Group, 803 Summer Street, Boston, Mass.
Yep.
I do have some hard copies. I have 3 full-size and about
Yeah.
a dozen 11 by 17s. 11 by 17s.
yeah, we'll fight over them.
And obviously, we'll email this out to you.
Yeah, go ahead,
Still
do your
a
thing.
back
I'll
and
open it
forth
for
this
you.
afternoon, getting finished.
I get it open.
So what we did was we took the plan that the planning board presented a couple weeks ago, and effectively did a very similar version, removing and forgive, up above is the revised plan we're presenting tonight. Below is the previous
Original.
one. They are 2 different scales, but the same orientations, but the same plan. Same site. So we took the parking and driveways and pushed them out to the perimeter of the site, shifted the buildings inside of those, actually dropped 1 building. So the unit count is now 150. It was previously proposed 174. The 1 building is 24-unit building in the garage. And then created a significant open space.
Is that 2 or 1?
In the middle. Total, actually, do you have one of those? So I can
Yeah, we do.
reference all around these, since I don't remember all the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So we would still be still proposing in 3 phases, with phase 1 being the 2 buildings on plan left on the
Yeah.
western side of the site. Phase 2 being the building up the top and the first building, the northernmost building on the east side, and along with the community building. And then phase 3 being the 1 24-unit building, kind of bottom right. So total parking in this this revised plan for the site ends up being 263 spaces, which I believe is 3 more than we previously proposed, and a ratio of 1.75 spaces per unit. The breakdown per phase, we try to get as close to that overall 175 number as possible, while being, rational in the layout. So in phase 1, we'd be at 1.68. Phase 2 would be a little more heavy, 1.86, and phase 3 would be 1.67. So we believe that one of the things that we've addressed is your request for a higher parking ratio as well. A couple of other items that were brought up during various peer reviews that we've addressed. You can see in this plan, we have provided additional sidewalks out from the site to both Cranberry Highway and Red Brook Road. The internal sidewalk is continuous around the full perimeter of the site, so providing ready access. At this point, just for reference, this landscaping isn't a fully developed landscaping plan. It's just sort of conceptual, and the same with the internal path. Certainly, we will be providing, connections to that path from the exterior parts of the site. We have been speaking with the fire department. It was actually primarily Jim O'Brien has spoken, and one of the requests that came up is sort of a solid-ish surface for fire access between the buildings. You can kind of see we don't have it identified there, but it's sort of this hatched area here and here, and we've still worked out exactly where in between the other buildings where there's a lot more space to provide something like either a reinforced grass surface or a grasscrete, so that concrete with voids that the grass grows through, so that fire truck
Can support the vehicle.
Can support the load of the fire truck. The service area is actually in a similar location, top left area. We put it on these plans where we have run fire trucks and garbage trucks throughout the site, and access is actually very easy for all. They can turn in between all of the buildings and gain access, which obviously we will flesh out further with the fire department.
I have a question.
What do you have?
My question is phase 1, 2, and 3. During phase 1, will both entrances on Red Brook Road and Cranberry Highway be existing?
No, it might be a little hard to see, but there is a dashed circle up by building F at the end of phase 1. So phase 1 will come up, take a right.
Oh, I see it.
and
I
there
see a
will be
cul-de-sac.
a circle there and a turnaround, and then most likely we'll, again, we haven't fleshed out all the details of the phasing at this point, as we just wanted to get a good solid plan before you. Phase 2 may include a tent driveway all the way out to the Red Brook Road, or another turnaround down, sort of in that lower area.
It's definitely much better layout. I know the water department here. I just wanna hear final answers from them so we can get going.
Sure.
Anyone here from the sewer department? Yes, Council.
Just real quick, I should have said it at the outset, it's typical of this process, but this isn't an official change
Right.
to this number at this point. We hope that we do work it out because, it does respond, so we think virtually completely. So again, just in case anybody questions, just on the record, we're here to hope to work it out, but,
Right. All right, Ben, you wanna come forward, please?
Benjamin Hughes, Chairman of the Board of Water Commissioners, onset. And I'm going to break form here for a moment and let Mr. Osborne do the talking.
Okay, just a name and address for,
Sean Osborne, OSD Engineering Consultants, 238 Bedford Street, Lexington, Mass.
all right, let's hear it.
All right, so the peer review response was relatively good. Everything was yes, thank you, yes, great. So appreciate that. The one thing that did not come back with a yes, we agree, was the monitoring wells, which I've talked a little bit to Dominic about. Our concern still is that while they are doing some things which are appreciated to reduce the potential for pollution and potential contamination of the nearby drinking water wells, that we'd still like to see some type of monitoring system. Talking to the board of the Onset Fire District, we talked about the sampling and looking at perhaps quarterly sampling through phase 1 and then going to annual sampling through phase 3, and then afterwards the sampling will be done by the fire district.
What do you recommend for monitoring wells? How many?
Actually, I've not looked that far into the plan. Look, probably 2 to 3. But I can discuss that with
Do you know which way the water's flowing? Is it flowing towards Sandy Pond or towards Buzzards Bay?
I believe it's flowing towards Buzzards Bay.
Buzzards Bay, that's better. Yeah. All right, so, and you do have apparently the capacity?
Yes.
So, okay. That's good. Councilor, you wanna some clarification on the water department answers?
As Mr. Osborne said, we're basically in agreement through our engineers who sent the letter. We would need to work with them and see about the monitoring. I think the monitoring frequency that was just suggested is better than was in the letter. I don't want to make it an issue per se, because we want to have offline discussions. I would just point out a few things that even though, yes, it's Zone 2 and all of that, but the situation is different than where there's a Title V system and you have that kind of potential contamination. It's sewer, obviously. Also, in terms of compliance and what we would normally have to do, or let's say even another development, a lot of people, I'm not saying those we're talking to, but a lot of people tend to compare things to, a vacant piece of parcel, which is great. There would be very little likelihood of anything, flowing into the wells. But that said, the reality is there's going to be some type of development there. There can be commercial, combination of commercial, retail, and any type of development that's there with the parking and stormwater and whatever else there would be.
But if I may interrupt, it wouldn't be that intense. It wouldn't have that impact.
In terms of cars, there could be just as big a parking lot. And again, the
Not really, because the watershed only allows 15%. So if you really go under regular bylaws, you can only build 15% between parking lot and building, so it wouldn't be that much. The impact is way more, so I do believe the monitoring well is very important.
Yeah, I understand, and we're certainly going to try to work it out, but regardless of what intensity of development might be there otherwise, my point is that there really isn't any local bylaw that we're not complying with, and there isn't any state standard that we're not complying with. And remember, because there's no wetlands, which is where oftentimes the Conservation Commission would be involved under the State Wetlands Protection Act, even with a 40B, and there would be the type of O&M plan, which we've done anyway, and order of conditions, which would be basically, monitored by the Conservation Commission. We have designed to those standards. Everything is designed to comply with the state standards for, this location, Phase 2, the Zone 2. So, again, I don't want to make it a debate or a battle right this moment. I think it makes sense because we know, what you've said and understand why they're saying it. So, given the fact that we do have some more time, we'd like to close in the near future, but we know we're not closing tonight, certainly. So I would, appreciate, if it's okay with you, the opportunity for our team, mostly our engineer, to talk with these folks. And, again, certainly, it's in the right spirit of where we've been heading, and we certainly want to do our best to work it out.
Okay, we're just gonna run a few questions quick. Wilma, do you have a quick question? Let's make it as quick as possible because we have other people.
Nothing right now.
Jimmy?
Nope, I'm
Jen?
happy with what I'm saying.
Nothing right now.
Counselor.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I would ask is, after they have those additional offline conversations, if they come to some sort of consensus, can they send it to me so that I can incorporate it into a draft decision?
Okay, you have his email, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Charlie?
Just a couple of questions, quick ones on the plan. The community building doesn't seem to have any access for service and so forth. There's no area where, the other plan at least, I think, had a couple of parking spaces that were close by where anybody that was getting out of a vehicle, if was handicapped, wanted to get in there, they couldn't. Do you got any plans for looking at that to see if you could provide a small parking space somebody could use? I like what you've done so far, it's just that it doesn't have any way to access it that's real easy for people that are anything but ambulatory.
Yeah, what we will be doing, as I mentioned, obviously, particularly the interior of it isn't fully fleshed out. It was
Okay.
just a sample. We would definitely be providing pathways. I don't necessarily know about parking spaces, because to get in there is obviously becomes very difficult, but...
My thought would not necessarily be that there'd be a parking space, but at least if you needed to get a vehicle in there to drop somebody off, that they could, and then they could get out, even if they had to back out someplace like that. But other than that, you know, this is, in my view, much better than it was.
Is slide down. At this point, we've moved put the similar to what we had before with the accessible spaces spread throughout, kind of near each building. We could adjust the one for that building. I somewhat arbitrarily put it at the top, move it down, and provide
I realize you've got a lot of, if you go with this plan, you've got some design details to work out and grading and so forth, so that may impact it as well, yeah.
All right, also, I would like you to consider like FedEx trucks, UPS, DHL, all of this.
Yeah, so we've thought about that. It's actually, in a weird sort of way, almost tougher with this layout without losing parking. We can put some type of a spot, but it would be, it's tough to do for each building. Move it that way. You can do a spot kind of for the...
Where's the mailboxes gonna be?
Mailboxes are in the building.
In each building?
Each building has a mail room, yeah.
All right, we'll have to look at it. Anyone in the audience want to ask the water department anything while they're here? Okay, I hear none. Anyone else want to ask Ben and the consultant before they, anything else? Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I see you have your traffic engineer here.
Yes, and again, I know you didn't have a chance, so maybe it makes sense for Colleen to summarize what you just submitted. So,
Okay. Ms. Medeiros, right?
yes.
All right. What's the name and address?
Sure. Colleen Medeiros with McMahon Associates, 350 Miles Standish Boulevard, Taunton, Mass. We were in receipt of the TEC peer review letter, and they broke it into two sections, one on traffic and the other one on the site plan. So we've just focused on responses to the transportation component. And the majority of their comments actually are all in agreement with our findings in our traffic study. They concurred with our study area, traffic counts, capacity analysis, trip generation. So their comments, there's two comments that we identified that needed a little bit more clarification. And the first one was a comment suggesting that the Red Brook Road driveway be restricted to right turns only, in and out. They suggested that potential left turns entering could queue back to the proposed traffic signal on Cranberry Highway. However, based on our traffic study, we found that signal is going to be 200 feet away from that new driveway, and the maximum queues we're seeing will be 70 feet for movement. We're considering a northbound movement on Red Brook Road, so it's not extending even closely back to the signal. Our projection's about 50 left turns entering the site on Red Brook Road, so that's less than 1 a minute. So we're not really seeing this going to impact back to that Cranberry Highway intersection. And we find it more of a kind of a negative impact to do that to the overall site and the overall study area intersections, because now all the site trips would have to do a U-turn at this new signal, and that U-turn movement is going to near more capacity, and U-turns take a little bit longer than a normal left turn. You have to go at a slower speed, so it's gonna affect the operations overall. So I think having a balance, so to have a full access driveway on Red Brook Road is more of a positive impact, whereas the Cranberry Highway proposed driveway is already restricted to right turns. So that's when you really want, what we see in standard practice is you want to restrict left turns on a major arterial roadway because of more of safety concerns. You don't want people crossing the 4 lanes. So we feel Red Brook Road is an adequate roadway to handle full access movements, and operationally we didn't see any potential impacts. So our recommendation is to keep that as a full access driveway.
And what, do the Cranberry Highway right turn only coming out? Or keep it to the way it is?
Say that again?
On Cranberry Highway, what do you recommend?
Cranberry Highway is...
Well, it has to be right in, right out, because there's going to be a proposed median.
Yeah.
So I feel like that we've already committed to that to be right turns anyway, so that, I think that's the more important driveway to be restricted from, you got a higher speed roadway, bigger cross section, so that, I think that one makes the most sense. And it's better to have the full access on the minor road. And then the only other comment that we brought up was they asked for some clarification on site distances. They concur that their site distances are adequate for the proposed driveways, but they just asked for some clarification about the proposed landscaping planting plans. So as of right now, the proposed planting plans aren't in conflict. They're going to be low-lying vegetation in the area of the proposed driveways. And then the neighbors' fence on Red Brook Road is actually within the public right-of-way, so it's encroaching into that by approximately 4 feet. So that should probably be removed, and that will make sure there's adequate site distance. The fence itself actually is only 3 feet in height, so it isn't a large physical barrier affecting the site distance, but we did note that it actually shouldn't be that far into the right-of-way. So we confirm that the sight lines are adequate for the proposed driveways as well. So, and then the remaining couple comments they had were more site plan related, such as pedestrian access with sidewalks, open space and parking. So that's kind of being dealt with by the site engineer. So that completes our peer review responses. I have hard copies if you need them for the record tonight.
Yes, hard copies, and if you send it electronically as well.
You didn't get it yet?
I think you got it electronically, but not the hard copies.
Okay.
When I say I think so, just so you know, as you know, my paralegal, who's fantastic, she sends things out for me so I don't mess things up. Maybe she wasn't able to, I don't know, but we'll give you the hard copies.
Yeah, definitely. I can.
All right, you can just pass them. All right, Charlie, what do you got?
Just a couple of questions, if I could. How many cars do you propose might possibly stack up on Red Brook Road waiting for a light change to go in either direction, either right or left?
Ms. Medeiros.
So if the left turn will be entering the site, the 95th percentile queue, that's the worst case scenario, in the afternoon would be 70 feet. So that's like 2.5 cars. That doesn't extend back to the traffic signal. And then, so a car heading southbound on Red Brook Road, sitting at the new traffic signal, waiting to turn onto Cranberry Highway, we're projecting that 95th worst case queue in the morning, because that's the heavier period, is about, the worst case would be 60 feet sitting at the signal.
3 cars?
I estimate cars 25 feet, so 2 cars or so, a little over 2 cars. So we're not seeing any potential blockage by queues from the signal or back into the signal.
Anything else, Chuck, right now?
Not at this time, no.
Peter, you want to give an opinion on what they But so far? Mr. Titlebaum from Selectmen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad that the plan has shifted the parking around to the perimeter. I think that's makes it a much more safe process for the kids to be able to use the open area. With that in mind, one of the things, and one of the concerns the selectmen have had all along with the remoteness of this project from other playgrounds. I think the nearest one would be at Hammond School, which is about a mile away anyway. I don't think the YMCA is about 3 miles away. So they're kind of isolated here. And to the extent that they're going to have kids in these apartments, there is a lot of green space in the middle now. It looks to be about a football field in size, roughly. And it would be my suggestion that the board consider asking the proponent to put a playground of some sort in there.
Some like playground for the kids, you mean?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chair, there is a playground behind the community building. If you're facing the plan to the left.
To the left of the building, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a playground. Hopefully, everything goes forward. We would like to have a little bit more details on that playground, whatever the slides or whatever they are.
Nice structures.
Anything else, Mr. Titlebaum?
Yeah, I did speak to a couple of the other members of the Board of Selectmen. They asked me about how the last meeting went, and I said that, in particular, you, Mr. Chairman, seemed enthused at the sort of revised plan that had been prepared by the planning board and submitted. And they said, well, what about the other members? And I said, well, I don't know that they arrived at a consensus or that there was a lot of commentary. So I know that a couple of the other members of the Board of Selectmen are interested to hear what your members think about it as well.
Absolutely.
And of course, you know, you've got that opportunity at this or any number of future hearings to get that. But they were sort of, their feeling was they wanted to withhold to see whether the zoning board was endorsing this new concept. So that's kind of where we are. It's a chicken or egg thing right now.
The new
between us and
concept,
you.
you mean? The new concept?
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna ask the members, see what they think,
Right.
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only
So-
me, so.
So basically, my guys are waiting for your guys to say what they want to say.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Why don't we ask the board, so, let's start with Jen. What do you think of the new concept?
I much prefer the new concept.
And what do you think of the numbers of the units?
What do I think of the numbers? I don't know that I have, obviously, there's been such a concern about the 174. I don't know if I have a solid opinion on whether 150 is an appropriate number or safe or good number. But I certainly like the new concept with the open space in the middle and the parking around the exterior. Much better than the original.
All right, Jim, what do you think?
I'm very happy with what we're seeing. I think this is a big improvement.
Wilma?
I like the new concept, but I was also looking at the handicap parking area. And most of the handicap vans open on passenger slide. And if you look at the areas where they can open a van, there's a few that they wouldn't make access to if there was a car parked next to it.
I'm sure we're gonna go through these plans with the details a lot more after, right, if we go forward. Manny, you wanna suggest something? Manny from the planning board? I mean, he's the hero on that one.
Emmanuel Daskalakis, Wareham Planning Board, and I live at 66 Tohill Road in Wareham. Thank you very much. The plan is very well done. I know that the planning board will have 2 comments and ask that you take them, please consider them. I realize it's still conceptual,
Yeah.
but the footprints of the buildings are not consistent with the scale of buildings in the area. And they seem to suggest that they reflect the buildings that were presented in rendered form with the original presentation, and we believe that they need to be restudied architecturally in a manner that is more reflective of the scale of the environment in which it's being built. And the second point that the planning board feels strongly about is the four-story, the height of the two buildings, which are four-story. Again, as a matter of scale, it's not appropriate for the environment in which they're being built. And we would ask that you reconsider eliminating the four-story buildings. Other than that, great job, and thank you for the effort.
Thank you, Manny.
Thank you for your
If you
comment.
recall his proposal, Manny, he had the building stacked, so it gives a little.
He likes a
architectural-
broken roof.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
guys have a straight roof on your design. Am I saying it right, Manny? By breaking the roof, you kind of...
Yeah, he's tagging them.
Yeah.
Instead of being building straight 100 feet or whatever that
From a
building.
property management point of view, I can see that a solid roof leaks less and has less opportunity to leak. From an architects love to use materials.
It does look better stacked. Now, apparently you guys don't have any architecture plans yet, right?
Right, well, I mean, I don't know what else we've done from the one, compared to the ones we submitted, and Roberto, you can, perhaps join us? Yeah, so I think what we basically did, and Roberto can correct me if I'm wrong, is, even preliminary redesign, if possible, of the architecturals is step two, because we wanted to make sure we had a positive reaction, which it does seem we have to this site plan. Even then, I can't speak for Roberto. There's both the design expense, but ultimately whether management and cost, if they can be redesigned. I think, Roberto, you may just say we have to look at it and not mislead anybody, because we don't know how far we can go to some of those design changes.
Okay, well, why don't you have that copy?
Conceptually,
Yeah, this is conceptual plan.
Rather than one large mass,
Right.
this helps a lot in bringing the scale down.
Right. No, I understand that. I thought that the buildings that we proposed actually were very much a Cape vernacular. It's a style building that we're building in Yarmouth, and in Yarmouth, they were very pleased with what we had presented. The roof lines are not that uniform. In other words, there's lots of, I don't have it here, so I can't explain it, but there were dormers. I mean, there was a lot of articulation on the roof. But we'll certainly take a look at it again and see if we can, present something that is a little bit,
I think it's got something.
more.
Yeah, just to refresh your memory again, not by way of drawing a line in, not by way of drawing a line in the sand, because, as Roberto said, so we can look at it, but just to refresh memories.
Right.
Those are the renderings.
Oh, yeah, they are broken up.
This is the three-story building, though. Do you have the four?
Not sure we have the four.
Same roof, just another story.
Right, same concept, just another story, right.
How long are these buildings roughly? 160? And how deep? About 50, 60? Looks like it.
But it looks like the architect did manage to get a lot of extra material in that roof.
I mean, we'll come back with something different, just to propose something different to see if you
Let me
like
ask
it
you a
better.
question. That four-story buildings, how many units adds to the whole project?
I don't remember how many units are on one floor, but obviously it makes a huge difference.
Like what?
25% per building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many buildings?
One at a time, please. What is it, Ken? 12 per
About
floor.
12 per floor.
Yeah.
Under this five-building plan, does anybody know how many of the buildings will be 5 stories?
I don't think there are any
Four
5
stories.
stories. There's 4.
Four stories, I'm sorry.
Two.
I'm sorry.
Two of them.
I think there are 2.
Get my
right.
towards twisted.
Right.
That's unit, building E and building B.
Yeah, please, he can tell us.
So, this is actually very similar to, currently arranged a little bit similar. So it's a 3-story building, 27 units, 4-story building, 36 units, 3-story building, 27 units, 4-story building, 36 units, obviously the building's similar, and then 3-story building is 24 units. It's small.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Audience. Yes. Lucille, Debbie, who wants to come first?
This is for new.
Debbie Ito, 41 Monac. I'm just still concerned with the parking, not just of the residents there, but of company that they have. So I don't know if maybe anything could be done to make sure there's no parking on Red Brick Road, whether it's signs for no parking or sidewalks or something, so that that doesn't get more congested.
Are you proposing a piece of sidewalk between
Thank
the
you.
two entrances? Well, actually,
Mass dot
No.
project is actually.
Broken by another property.
Yeah.
Two other properties, they can't do it.
well, I guess if you put in your comments for next time, some signs, no parking, you know what I'm saying? Lucille?
Mr. Chairman?
Somebody-
Yes.
Just with regard to Red Brick Road, that's under the control of the road commissioners, so that's who you would go to put up no parking signs.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, the board
Yes.
could simply include a condition of its decision to say that there'll be no parking on Red Brook Road of any of the residents or guests of the project. It wouldn't necessarily need to extend to an overall no parking ban on Red Brook Road.
Okay, all right.
So I've got a note in here to include that as a condition.
Yeah, if you do, please. All right, Lucille, want to come forward?
Couple things. I was.
Name and address, please.
Lucille Dodson, 58 Faring Street. Being late, I didn't hear, but I am concerned about the parking still. Like I said last meeting, is at that time I didn't see any areas that would be for like visitors. Aside from the people living there, we all know, we all get visitors. And if everybody, you know, this number of units goes in, it's gonna be a considerable, large amount of visitors that also come to this, that add to that area. And that, I think, is a very big concern. Another concern I have, which I know you said you're gonna delve more in depth with, but about the playground. Again, if you approve, say, 150 units there, that's considerable large amount of children that will be there. And if their idea of a playground is 5 swings, that's not gonna be adequate. So I think it needs to be, before you actually approve a certain number of units, I think you really need to get more in depth with what is what of the area and how much of a playground and what in this playground is gonna be there for these children. And if their plan doesn't show an adequate playground, I think the number of units needs to drop. I think 150 is still too large of a number of units. Because again, this is Cranberry Highway. What are these kids gonna do? You know, they're not gonna have an area to go out on a bike and go ride a bike or whatever. What are they gonna do, play out in traffic? And I still am concerned with the side exit and entrance from Red Brick Road. They can do all the studies they want, but if you are actually there and you see what's going on today, my daughter almost got in a head-on collision. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And, you know, these things are no joke. And I am concerned about if they have a side entrance spilling out onto Red Brick Road, and then they're trying to take that left, so then they have to cross over to get there. That's going to be, I think, a concern. And I think that should be eliminated, being able to take a left out onto Red Brick Road, to be honest with you, because living there and seeing it, I can visualize the whole thing, how that is going to be a traffic problem. But again, I'm really concerned about the playground, because all I can think of is if these kids have some area to release some stress and have some fun in this area that you're trying to create for these people, then what are they gonna do? They're gonna get in trouble is what they're gonna do. And then we're gonna look back, and we need to be proactive instead of reactive. That's
All right.
about it.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
1 second, please. Last time, Manny from Planning Board suggested if you push the building forward a little bit, building number F, you might be able to, on the north side, add like 20, 30 spaces, right, Manny? They did it, that's all what they add, and you get them,
He didn't have spaces on one side of that northern driveway.
Yeah.
We had spaces on both.
okay. All right, you can't add any more in the back. If you square off that building, pull it forward and pull what that grass in that corner, in the north corner. Do you know what I'm saying? It's getting tough.
Again, all that, could be looked at. I mean, I should have looked, I could pull it out, the peer review on traffic, but I think we now exceed the ratio that even your peer review said.
Okay.
So,
Just look into it if you can. Who want, yes, sir. Mr. Hadley, right?
Yep.
Come forward, please.
I'll just...
Just sit down, put your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Richard J. Hadley. I am the personal representative of the estate of Michael Allen Hadley. That estate includes 3104 Cranberry Highway.
Okay.
My address is P.O. Box 282, Sagamore, Mass. 02561. I'd like to just, as quickly as possible, just add on to what I was trying to explain last time. And last time, I wanted to simplify my explanation or my discussion by concentrating on the traffic westbound on Cranberry Highway and westbound on Red Brook Road, and more specifically, that intersection. And what I said last time is after being a part of that intersection for approximately 69 years, that intersection works now because there is a yield sign there. And there is a semi-free flow of traffic coming westbound on Red Brook Road.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means that there's no, I've never seen a stack up of cars eastward on Red Brook Road because there's a yield sign. Now, this on page 4 of this study.
That's the state layout, or their study.
Traffic impact study, residential development.
Okay.
Okay? It says on page 4, on the Red Brook Road paragraph, it's the third sentence, it says, Red Brook Road is under stop control at the intersection with Cranberry Highway. That's wrong.
Well, it will
It's
be.
under, no, sir.
No, sir.
Well,
No,
right now, right now, it says Red Brook Road is under stop control at its intersection with Cranberry Highway. That's not true.
All right, we'll clarify it with the traffic engineer. What else you have for comment?
Okay, well, this is what I'm, if you'll just let me,
Go ahead, sir.
follow
Go ahead.
along.
I am following
please.
on. I need to get clarification, sir.
That's exactly,
All
that's,
right. Keep
but
going.
if this is based on the fact that it's stop control and there's no problem, that's wrong. It's based on that intersection is yield control. That's why there's no stack up there. Okay? Now, it's going to be stop control, sir. It's going to be stop control. But there's not going to be a stop sign there. There's going to be red lights there. Okay?
Exactly.
That means it's going to be stop and wait control. Now, we know that the traffic coming up Red Brook Road is going to have a long red light compared to the traffic on Cranberry Highway. Not only that, one of the reasons is that the traffic on Cranberry Highway is significantly greater than on Red Brook Road. Not only that, they're going to put a crosswalk walk there for pedestrians. So that's going to significantly change. It's going to significantly change this intersection. It's not going to be anything like it is now. And it's going to go from yield, where there's a free flow, semi-free flow of traffic, to a stop control, where there's going to be stop and wait. okay? That's a big difference. Now, you can go down there, and I've been there, like I said, for a very long time. You can go down there and you can look at that intersection and you can see cars coming up Red Brook Road, and it may be 15 to 20, 30, 45 seconds where you don't see a car and you think, well, wait a minute, what's the problem here if they put lights here? But then all of a sudden, there's 1 car, 2 car, 3 car, 4 car, 7 cars, okay? Just out of nowhere. That's the way the intersection works. So these numbers, they're all good numbers, but it's really not reality, okay? There's also a number of, it's astonishing, the number of industrial trucks that come up there. There are sanitation trucks, 2 at a time the other day. There are flatbed trucks that are carrying a car on its flatbed and then pulling another car. So if you got that's like 3 cars right there. And then if you got another 7 cars on a busy day, and then you got two sanitation trucks coming, there's a very good chance that there are going to the long red light there, or the short green light on Red Brook Road, those cars, that traffic is not going to get through. So they're going to wait there. Then if that same type of traffic comes again at a very near time, then it's going to start backing up. I happen to think this intersection is going to change dramatically from what it is now. It's going to change by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation project, and it's going to change by this thing. This thing is going to put another full access driveway right there. It's going to not only increase the traffic on Red Brook Road, but it's also going to increase, it's going to complicate that intersection, okay? And I think that I personally think, I can't prove this, but I personally think from viewing that intersection that there are going to be just regular, significant backups eastward on Red Brook Road, and there's a good chance on the worst days that there's going to be gridlock on for people getting out of their driveway onto Red Brook Road and coming from side streets onto Red Brook Road. Okay? I don't think this thing paints a rosy picture. There's a significant error there. Somebody's got to address that. Now, I haven't seen that peer review. I've been looking for it. I hope the peer review at least says, hey, look, you got an error here. It's not stop controlled. It's yield controlled. Because if the peer review doesn't point out that error, that significant error, that's going to lead to what I believe is going to be significant backups for the people on that back eastward on Red Brook Road. I hope that the peer review doesn't need a peer review, okay? I hope that they saw that.
Okay.
And pointed out that either in agreement or disagreement with what I say. I think there are going to be problems there. And I think if you go down there and look, you get kind of fooled. And I think if you look at this, you get kind of fooled. And I think if you look at the peer review, if they don't point this problem out, I think you're going to get kind of fooled. I guarantee sometime in the future, if this project goes through, those people are not going to be fooled anymore, those people living down there. Okay, they're going to put
Mr.
up
Akabat, you got an question for you.
Do you have a suggestion, a solution?
No, I'm not. I'm here to suggest. I'm here to point out a problem that I believe has not been pointed out. Okay.
I wrote it down. But I'm just asking. I know it appears you did a lot of research, and I just wondered if you had an idea. Do you think a yield would be better there on the right?
That's not what the Department of Transportation plans on doing. They're going to put lights there.
I understand that, and I'm asking if you, with all your experience at that location, feel would a yield on right in that instance alleviate that problem? Would it exacerbate it? Do you have an opinion on that?
The intersection works now because there is a yield there. And the Department of Transportation is going to eliminate that.
All right, let me ask the traffic engineer, what's her comment on that first page? You might, Mr. Medeiros? And that, between that stop and the yield?
So we did, in the text, it did put stop controlled. Although it may be a yield sign, it's generally people have, they don't have a lane to enter in. There's 2 lanes coming onto Red Brook Road. They don't have a lane to merge into, like on a highway, you have an acceleration. There's no acceleration room, so you technically need to slow down and turn a significant amount. So we conservatively put it as a stop control just to see what would happen when people take a full stop. And, you know, from an operational standpoint, that's what we want to see is how it works. And in the future, MassDOT's totally redoing the intersection. They're doing it from a safety standpoint. This is a high crash location today, so they want to improve safety. That's their number one. And they're spending, you know, a couple $1 million. They're going to make sure the intersection works up to their standards. It's federal money. They can't build something that's not safe or not going to work. And we have the operations from MassDOT and from ourselves showing that there's not going to be significant backups onto Red Brook Road. We're not seeing a lot of the proposed residents going to be going down Red Brook Road. They're going to be going to the highway, you know, Cranberry Highway, to get to and from school to work, because that's the main arterial roadway. There will be some people that might use Red Brook Road, but we're not seeing it's going to be a great traffic impact. It's going to be using people getting back to that traffic signal. And then we don't see from our operations that there's going to be significant backups from that traffic signal. It's going to operate well. It's going to be getting 26 seconds of green light, Red Brook Road, every cycle. So.
Let me ask you a question. Can you run the numbers for a stop instead of yield? Can you run the numbers?
You want me to put it under yield control?
Under stop control.
I did put it under stop control.
She did it as a stop control.
Because that's what it's going to be.
All right, did you understand what she said? This is under stop control. The study showed what she's saying. So I want small comments. I mean, don't go with things over and over again.
This says Red Brook Road is under stop control. That's wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, rewrite it.
Ma'am, if you make, both of you have to direct your answers and questions to the board. No arguing together. You have to direct it to us.
Okay, well, let me.
One at a time. You gotta be recognized to talk.
Okay.
So, sir, go ahead.
Okay.
I'd like to hear her response, so. She was going to respond.
Yeah.
And you interrupted her. I'd like to hear her response.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
So we just did it as more of a conservative effort to put it under stop control. Like I said, there's no acceleration room for someone to go. You usually see a yield sign when you're entering a highway. There's acceleration room, there's none here. And you do have to turn significantly to your left to see what's going on. So we put it under stop control because in our software, it gives us a better result. If we put yield, then there's going to be not going to show anything because people are just going. Right?
So in other words, you did it under stop control. As you said, it's a more conservative estimate. It's going to show a greater backup potential than you would if you did it under yield control. So if you did it under yield control, you would your results would make it appear as though there would be even less likely chance for a backup. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Medeiros.
Before
Yeah, go ahead,
Mr.
sir.
Can I say something, though?
goes away, I wanted to ask, we can let Mr. Hadley finish, but I do have another question for
Go
you.
ahead, ask the question, sir.
I'm looking at this DOT proposed plan, and I'm not quite getting, see where they show these like half circles and so forth?
Yeah, those are called loons.
Loons, what's their function? Can you kind of go through that?
Sure, they're for the U-turn. So now there's going to be a median down all of Cranberry Highway. So if you needed to get to one of those businesses, you would have to do a U-turn at one of these signals now. There's going to be one at Main Ave, and then one now at Red Brook.
So north and south, or east and west, depending on whether it's Route 6 or Route 28.
Right.
either way, you'll be able to stop at the light and pull a U, it'll be a legal spot to pull a U-turn.
Correct. Yep, it'll be, have the
So
left
that's what those
arrow.
loons are for.
The loons are for the tractor-trailer trucks to be able to do it. Not, a single vehicle, regular car doesn't need
So
that,
there's-
but it's for the larger vehicles.
So there would be no opportunity for a yield on right,
no, no.
coming off Red Brook?
And when you
on-
put a traffic signal, everybody has to have a
They're
traffic
gonna
signal.
have to stop, and it's not gonna be right on red after stop or any jazz like that? There'll be a no turn on red sign there.
Yeah, I can double check, but I don't think so because there's going to be U-turns going, so that'll be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so it would be dangerous to allow people right on red.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Hadley, what do you want to say?
Okay, I just disagree with everything that was just said by you and by this woman.
That's fine.
Okay, because if you stand there and watch those people come down Red Brook Road, okay, I mentioned this last time, they have plenty of view on Cranberry Highway when they just come up and look like that. And they don't, many times they do not slow down, they do not stop, they speed up. And because of the yield sign, that's why there's no backup there.
I understand, sir, but looking and facts is completely different thing.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
talking about...
This lady is a professional engineer, and she has facts.
But I've been watching those people for 69 years. I'm talking about reality.
Nobody here has any control over the fact that indeed in the future, it is going to be stop control. Nobody here can change that.
Correct. That's what I said.
So-
The Massachusetts State Department of Transportation is going to change that from a yield control to a stop control. It's going to a stop and wait control and a stop and wait for long time control. That's what's going to lead to the backups.
Which is why, if I'm understanding Ms. Medeiros, which is why Ms. Medeiros' estimates are based on a stop control.
Correct.
So that her estimates are going to be, are most in line with what in actuality is going to exist in the future. If she were to do it based on yield control, it would be worthless because that's not what's going to exist in the future. And nobody can make it yield control because
First of all, you said estimate. That's true. I'm also estimating the exact opposite by viewing that intersection for many years. Okay? This study is an estimate, but it's not, in my opinion, reality. I'm trying to tell you what I believe is going to be regular situations, real situations as a result of this change from a yield control to a very significant stop control. This is my estimate based on what I see for a very long time. I don't think that the results of this, it has a lot of numbers in here, and a lot of numbers which I believe is very misleading, because I don't think that this represents reality. That's what I'm saying.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Hadley. Yes, Debbie. Come forward, please.
Debbie Ito, 41 Monac. I think just to elaborate a little tiny bit on what Mr. Haley's trying to say is we have a little bit of a unique situation, I think, in the neighborhood. We have garbage trucks from several companies that come every day because everyone has a different service. And it's also a cut through from the Bourne Bridge to 28. So we do have large trucks coming down there. So I don't know how the traffic numbers are figured out. But if you take the average maybe neighborhood or something, ours might be a little bit different because of the way we're located and because of just the nature of the neighborhood. Having said that, I would also, oh my God, I forgot the second reason. Oh, yes. The lower number of units, I was wondering what the breakdown was between the 2 and 3 bedrooms, because it's my understanding that there has to be a certain amount of 3 bedrooms. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is it according to how many of the other ones there are?
Yeah, Did you do a breakdown, Roberto?
I did not.
So
We don't have a breakdown right now, but the 3 bedrooms,
the state requirement is 10%,
10%, yeah.
and I'm not saying that we have only 10%, but we have to have those anyway, so.
3 bedrooms?
We will only have 10% of 3.
3 bedrooms?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so requirement
That's 15.
50.
That's 15
Thank you.
50. 15.
of that proposed number.
All right, anyone else want to add anything? All right, very good. I guess we go in the right direction from where I'm here from the board, and so I will go forward and be in contact with Mr. Rowley and Attorney Haverty.
We can do that if we're able to work on a draft decision. I think another question, which is in terms of what level of plans, should we work on? Because, there are obviously, at this point, conceptual plans.
We do need we gotta go
To
full-blown
the same,
plans.
to the same level, right. I mean, the only alternative, and there's, candidly some risk to the developer, the only alternative is to skip the next stage of more detail, but to the level that we submitted originally, which could be peer reviewed, absolutely, I acknowledge that. The only other alternative is just having a condition for final plan approval that would defer that until after the permit, and there's some risk to the developer, but it would obviously still be for consistency with the comprehensive permit, with the layout, with the conditions you put in, and with good engineering practices. So, it's certainly your call in terms of...
Personally, I would like to see full site plans, base our decision on those full site plans. Just a couple of things in the plans I would like to see, definitely monitoring wells, the playground, more details of the playground. If it's possible to add another one, if it's a small, maybe add one on the north side. Mr. Haverty said he'll put the conditions on the draft condition for the parking on Red Book roads. The architecture plan, you need a sign, it has to be signed by an architect, registered architect, all right? The architecture plan has to be signed by an architect, okay? I can't hear you.
The ones that we submitted as part of the original package, Ken, do you know? I honestly don't have them handy, stamped.
Okay, well, are you gonna, so these plans that were signed by an architect?
Couldn't hear him.
Yeah, they were done by an architect.
Okay, so as long as they're signed by an architect. And so, I guess, like I said, so those few things go over, and let's go forward.
I have a couple more.
Yes.
I see him talking, I'll let him.
Counselor.
Question?
I have a couple more questions. One's a comment, and the other one's a question. When we heard from the sewer commissioner, I think I recall that there's been an agreement that these 3 phases are going to happen over a period of 3 years. Is that correct? Did I hear correctly?
Yes, agreed as to...
3 calendar years or 3 years in time?
Years, but...
Well,
Will there be 12 months between phases? Is that...
well, it will be a minimum of 3 years. It could be longer.
Okay, so
Could be longer.
each phase is going to happen in a separate calendar year?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I get that. I get that. Okay, that answers that question.
Yes.
And my other thing isn't as much a question as it is a comment, and I'm just restating a comment that I made in our 3rd meeting, that our first meeting was canceled because of weather. Our second meeting was canceled due to an unfortunate circumstance. So I put it to the board and to the applicant that we've really lost a month in this process, and if necessary, we need to all, I think, be reasonable, and if we need that extra month, we need that extra month.
Yes.
It's just a comment. At this point, it's not
That was mentioned before, and it might have been about my client here, but I acknowledge...
I'm just hammering my point.
Absolutely. No, and that's reasonable. No, that is what happened.
Yep.
All right. We're gonna come back here on the 11th, July?
Well, the question is...
Probably need more time.
What's realistic in terms of, because I mean, we're still waiting for further word on the sewer, which was good, but they were waiting on, I think,
Right.
related to pipe sizes and,
So you want to do the 25th?
let's see.
We're definitely gonna have more on the 25th.
Chairman, I have a conflict that night. I can
25th is conflict.
see if I can get someone else to represent me.
Let's see from them with this.
You know, this also ties into whatever reasonable extension, but
Yeah, exactly.
I think what they're saying is he needs more time than even in July to do drawings, and I
So-
think, you know,
We're into August.
the end of July, maybe?
And it was, the alternate is the 25th.
The 25th
Basically, it's
is,
the end of July.
yeah,
25th.
the 25th.
Counselor, can you send someone else on that 25th?
The 25th is a conflict for our counselor, so we'd be willing to go an extra
August
meeting.
8th?
August 8th works for you guys, gives you a little more time.
No, I would like you to come on the 25th. This way we can keep updated. And Councilor Haverty, you could have somebody fill in?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So
Or I can have someone cover the other hearing and I can come.
the 8th, you could,
See what I
yeah,
can
it'd be even better. All right, so 25th?
Fine with us. Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to continue?
So moved.
Do I have a second to continue petition 2-18 for 3102 Cranberry Highway to July 25th, 2018? Second?
Second.
Second by Jen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain. Very well. We'll see you on, yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, Council.
just a question, clarification, if you will. Is BSC being asked to look at design plans based on the number of units that are shown on this concept plan that have been presented tonight? Are we still looking at 150 units? Are we looking at something different?
Which peer review did you say in terms of looking at plans? I just didn't hear.
Your plan that's up on the board, the new plan, which is right there, that has 150 units in it. The other plan, which Mr. Dakalakis presented, had 146.
Correct.
Are we looking to see plans based on the 150 at this point?
That's what we're doing.
146.
I would like to see the 146. Since we started, I mean, it was a good start, so let's stick with the 146. And
It's difficult, if you want to elaborate.
so, sit down. You want to sit down? Why would that be difficult?
I think cost is a factor, right?
Right,
We're
I
reducing the
understand.
number of units, so it makes it much more difficult. So we've come up with 150, which we believe is a, you know, at least something doable from our side and is a good compromise. We cannot go below that number.
All right, well, I guess we'll have to go by the plans they're presenting, and we'll have to make a decision on what they're presenting. I mean, we can't say, if you don't come with 146, we're not gonna accept this, so we have to show, we have to show due diligence, we have to see the studies they do, then we could decide based on that. We can't just say, if you don't agree, you can leave right now. It just doesn't work that
The
way.
second part of that has to do with the concept which Emmanuel brought to us before, in terms of the shape of the buildings and the breaking up of those facades. When you look at that plan, all you're seeing is a straight wall for 160 feet. So,
Well, I think...
It's not...
I mean, I think that's a mischaracterization, but let's not get into back and forth. I mean, the point is, we said, Mr. Arista said, you know, he would look at and try to come back with some reconfiguration, not knowing how much in response to the, you know, understandable, and we respected and appreciated the comments from the planning board.
I just want to clarify, that's fine, that he's going to look at it and look at the architectural scope of it. That satisfied my concern.
Yes, yeah. Again, I don't know what the result will be. Maybe it won't be much of a change. I don't know, but yes, definitely, he said he's looking at it, yes.
That's right. We will consider an architectural redesign.
Yep.
All right, very well.
Before you, you know, I keep hearing the roof line bit, and I gotta volunteer my opinion that conceptual plan that I see there, I personally don't find it objectionable. I don't know if that nothing against, you know, the planning board's recommendation. I think that architecturally, it is in keeping with the area, so, you know, you guys hear all comments, I just wanted to add mine.
Okay, very well. So we'll see you on 25th. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Anything else, Ken, you want to add?
No.
All right, Counselor, thank you very much. Charlie, thank you.
Welcome.
Can make a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. Thank you. Bob, thank you. Cut it off.